Welcome to the April 17th meeting of the Human Affairs Committee. It is 7:02. We are holding this in the Aldermanic Chamber. Clerk, can you call the roll for me?
Okay. I don't have, that's the problem. I don't have the list of who's on the committee. Oh, okay, so it is the same as this. Okay. I apologize. Alderwoman at Large, Shoshana Kelly.
I'm here.
Alderman at Large, Melbourne Moran Jr. Alderman at Large, Gloria Timmons. Alderman Patricia Klee, I am here. And Alderman Thomas Lopez.
I am here.
We have 3 in the room.
Also in attendance, we have Julian Long, Urban Programs Manager, who's meeting with us via Zoom.
Staff Director Sullivan.
Oh, and Director Sullivan as well. Thank you, Alderman Kelly. So to start, we're going to hold a public hearing on the FY 2024 Annual Action Plan for the City of Nashua's Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, and Home Investment Partnerships Program. So this is a public comment, or a public hearing. So the public will be invited to come up twice to speak in favor and twice to speak opposed. Kind of mix them up a little bit so that if you hear something that you want to clarify, you can still do that. This is separate from the regular meeting, which will proceed immediately afterwards. There will be another period of public comment. And then we'll have a presentation by Stepping Stones, and then we're going to get to communications and then working on the CDBG planning. So I see a number of nonprofits here. If we have questions or need information, we definitely appreciate you being here. If you want to make a couple header comments, then I definitely invite you to do that at the public hearing. But bear in mind, it would be separately from the next one. So you might want to make a quick little elevator pitch at the public comment of the Human Affairs Committee meeting. So starting out, all those in favor, testimony in favor of the annual action plan for the City of Nashua's CDBG funds? Anyone like to speak in favor? Anyone with testimony in opposition to it? It is not like our plan for CDBG. Seeing none, any more testimony in favor? And any in opposition? All right, seeing no more people trying to fight their way to the front here, I'm going to close the public hearing here at 7:04. So now we can begin the regular meeting. We won't need to do roll call or all that kind of stuff. And we'll just start with public comments. So if anybody would like to make comments about their organizations ahead, feel free to come up.
We do have to declare it closed, so it's 7:04.
Oh, I declared it closed.
Okay, so I'm sorry. No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, so it's closed at 7:04.
Yep.
And then
I apologize.
the regular meeting begins at 7:04. And I didn't see anybody coming up for public comment. Last call. All right. So to begin with, we have a presentation from Stepping Stones. I see the director, Kathy, here. If she'd like to come up.
Hello, again. My name is Kathy Farland. I am the executive director of Stepping Stones, which is our homeless youth drop-in center here in Nashua. We work with youth up to the age of 25. Just a quick reminder is that these are not youth that are with their families, but these are youth that are living on their own and have no place to call home. So just a few facts about youth homelessness. 1 in every 10 people between the ages of 18 and 25 will be homeless sometime this year. And 1 in every 30 teenagers between the ages of 13 and 17 will be homeless sometime this year. So you can pick any high school or middle school classroom in Nashua, and one of those youths will be homeless in each classroom that you go into sometime this year. And that is, again, homeless and unaccompanied, not homeless with their families. These kids are couch surfing. They're living in doorways and hallways. They're staying temporarily at an emergency shelter if they're 18 or older. They might be living in a tent or in their car if they're lucky enough to have one. And for those that aren't lucky enough, they spend their nights outside, sleeping on the sidewalk, or sometimes walking all night just to try to stay awake and safe. Homeless youth feel unsafe each and every night. Their few possessions may be stolen. Drugs and alcohol are rampant. Physical abuse and sex trafficking are real fears for these kids. These factors combined with their youth put them at an increased risk of mental illness, substance use, poor health, lacking education, becoming involved with criminal activity, or becoming a victim of that same activity. And these kids are desperate for a way out. So the kids these youth are dealing with a lot of different things aside from being homeless. They usually come in with diagnoses of anxiety and depression. Not surprising, we would all be probably anxious or depressed if we didn't know where we were sleeping tonight. They often have a lack of basic education skills. They are 3 times more likely to start using drugs while they're homeless than their housed peers. That's another often misconception, is that these kids become homeless is because they have drug addictions, and usually it is while they're homeless that these drug addictions start. They have a lack of resources. It's very difficult to find a job without having an address, a place to take a shower, or a way to get to work. And yet they are the most resilient, determined youth that you will ever meet. Even with all these obstacles in their way, they want to move forward with their lives. They want to reach their goals and dreams and become happy, self-sufficient adults. So what we do at Stepping Stones, right now, at the drop-in centers, our goals are twofold. So we provide them with the basic needs, including showers, laundry, meals, clothes, access to computers and Wi-Fi, lockers for their things, like clothing and documents, a safe place to just rest for a little bit. And we provide sleeping bags, backpacks, and warmers, flashlights, and snacks and waters that they can take with them. And then we start working with them on their goals. So a place to live and a job are usually high on their list. We help them get birth certificates, social security cards, and picture ID so that they can get a job. We help them apply for college and financial aid. We help them get cell phones, food stamps, and medical insurance. We help them find medical, dental, mental health, and substance use resources. We help them apply for housing vouchers, work with them on finding an apartment, a job, transportation, and a driver's license. And as the one who usually takes them out for driving practice, I can tell you this is a terrifying endeavor. But whatever their goals are, our goal is to help them get there. And we also listen. This is probably one of the most important things we do for our youth. They've told us it offers hope that their lives could be better. It gives them the encouragement to reach for their goals and the positive environment they find at Stepping Stones, and the hope and confidence they find in themselves. So our newest project, as you guys know, is actually to be able to provide an independent living program for our youth, which includes housing for them as well while they're taking this program. So our mission, of course, has always been to help these homeless youth become self-sufficient adults, and this Level Up independent living program is going to help them do just that. So part of this independent living program includes completing their GED, taking soft skills training classes at New Hampshire Employment Security, career planning in positions where they can make enough money to support themselves, and of course finding and keeping jobs while they're working through these processes. If they choose to pursue secondary or vocational education, we help them with additional resources for transportation, funding resources, quiet places to study, and volunteer tutors. We're also teaching independent living skills and personal finance, including investing, insurance, saving for large purchases, and more. Culinary arts, including shopping, cooking, and cleaning up. Self-care, including hygiene and care of their living spaces. Including regular checks to make sure their living spaces are clean and safe while they're there. And safety around relationships as well as the larger community. Our youth will also spend time each week with other groups in the community like the Y, positive street art, sports teams, theater, or other interests that they may have. And this is so that when they've graduated from our program, they already have other positive links in the community. They also need to take care of their health, including physical, dental, mental health. As you can imagine, when you have no place to call home at night, those things go by the wayside. A lot of our kids have type 1 diabetes. They are on medications for mental health issues like schizophrenia, PTSD, ADHD. And if they're not able to even get to their doctors, a lot of times they stop taking their medications, which again makes things so much more difficult for them to be able to function a lot of times. So this new program is actually a 4-level program, and the youth are all going to be working towards those same benchmarks as they work through it. They will start paying a fixed amount each week for their room, which increases the more they level up, and move into more spacious accommodations. Upon graduation, they will no longer be on any welfare, social services, food stamps, Medicaid, housing vouchers, or et cetera. They will have a tenant reference from us. They will have the funds saved for a security deposit, and they'll be making enough money to either afford their own small apartment or with a roommate afford a bigger one. They'll know how to care for themselves and their place and will truly be able to handle this thing we call adulting. So with our new independent living program, we already have several youth who are all ready to get started with moving forward towards their goals, knowing they'll have a safe place to be each night and with people that care about them and support them. So, any questions?
Questions from the committee? I have a couple. How old did you say your organization was?
Stepping Stones is 2.5 years old now.
So when we say new kid on the block, we're not kidding. Who's on, what kind of support do you have from a board? Like what kind of members do you have on a board of directors?
So we have 6 board members. We have one from the local hospital or local hospitals. We have local business owners. We have people that live and work in the community. So we've got a good mix of different types of people. We have, one of them actually has lived experience, which is great, and really helps to give us that feedback as well. We have people that have worked with homeless youth, so it's a good sampling.
And you are a 501c3?
We are.
So this isn't a casual group of people sharing a pair of pants or whatever. This is a group of people dedicated to the type of work that you're doing. And maybe that explains why you've been able to do so much in a short amount of time. You have been continually operating your day center for how long?
Almost 2.5 years.
Because I know when the city was looking for places for warming stations, you guys were among the first to step forward and some of the only ones that were available at the time on weekends. Do you still have weekend availability?
We don't right now. When we did open, we were open either Saturdays or Sundays every week.
And so the project that you're doing or proposing at Daniel Webster College, that's a pretty big expansion for any nonprofit. And my understanding is you're working with the staff that you have. Do you have plans for strategic growth to fill in the spot?
We do. We actually, it looks like we've probably hired the first RA for the property. I will know for sure tomorrow. Some of the staff that we have at the center now will be also working at the property. We do expect that we may not have as many kids at the drop-in center because we will have more in the independent living program. So we'll be able to split some of that staff, and we are planning on hiring 3 additional staff to work with the youth during the day at the independent living program. So, but that will, as the kids work through the steps, they spend more time there and they have more things they need to do. So it's not something we need to do immediately, but it is something we'll need to do in probably the next 60 to 90 days.
I know at the Continuum of Care meeting, the United Way, Mike Apfelberg spoke about your collaboration. I've seen you at the Employment Committee, both your peers and your staff pretty regularly. And you were a large part of the point in time count. Are there other collaborations, like community partners that you work with other organizations?
We work closely with the emergency shelters in town. I was actually on the phone with Denise today. She has 2 new youth that have come in. So they refer everybody within our age range over to us. And of course, we work with them as well right now so that we can get our youth when they come in for some safe place to sleep. We work with Harbor Care, we work with Greater National Mental Health, we work with Hearts, we work with Revive, we work with Doorway. There's a whole long list of different agencies we work with because that's part of what we do. We don't expect to be able to do everything for our youth, and there's no reason to because a lot of those resources are already in Nashua. We just need to be able to make those connections with our youth so that they know where they can go.
Okay. Any other questions on the committee? All right, thank you for your presentation. We're going to move on to the next order of business. Communications.
Communications from Julian Long, Urban Program Manager, in regards to Urban Programs Department updates, March, April 2023.
It's written. There being no objection, I'll accept this communication and place it on file. Unfinished business.
There is none.
New business resolutions.
R 23-105, approving the use of Department of Housing and Urban Development Home Investment Partnerships partnership program funds by Greater Nashua Habitat for Humanity for 14 Granite Street. Mr. Chairman, I motion to recommend approval.
Okay. Director Long, did you want to weigh in on this? Give us a primer on this? Or I see a speaker in front, actually. I'm sorry.
Hi.
Krista
Krista Sakrensis.
Just a reminder, give your name and record for the transcriber.
Sure, Krista Sakrensis, Executive Director for Greater Nashua Habitat for Humanity.
Address?
And our address is 10 Clinton Drive in Hollis.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I just came to say a few words about the proposal. Julian invited us to speak briefly. I think everyone in the room knows about Greater Nashua Habitat for Humanity. We are actively trying to dispel some myths that come about, such as that we give away free houses, that Jimmy Carter builds them all, that sort of thing. So we are getting out into the community to really share our work and what we do. So we build strength, stability, and self-reliance through home ownership opportunities. So I'm here to speak specifically about the grant request for 14 Granite Street, small parcel of land that really isn't buildable for a bigger developer, and is just going to make the perfect size for a single-family home. Our construction philosophy is to build simple, decent, affordable homes that are sustainable and durable, all with a 5-star energy rating. We look at affordability for the families after the day that we sell the home to them. We want them to be successful as a homeowner, and we offer that support too. Our family support continues after the sale of the home. Since I applied, the good news is we have selected a partner family. So we went through an extensive application process. We have a family selection committee that put in many, many hours reviewing applications, verifying employment, background checks, credit checks. And we're happy to say that the partner family that we selected is a client for 2 years at the Front Door Agency. So really nice collaboration with them, and they've even offered so far to do build days with us and help them on their friends and family sweat equity hours. The partner family agrees to put in 350 hours of sweat equity on the home, building it with family and friends, with at least 100 on site doing the construction, really getting to know the volunteers and who is building the house for them. They earn 30 to 60% of area median income, and they have demonstrated the ability to meet the financial obligations and provide a $1,000 down payment. And from there, this is the myth about that we don't give away free homes. We offer an affordable mortgage. So the house is actually sold at fair market value, which means the property tax is based on the sold price. And the way we do that is by 2 mortgages, where the first is capped at 30% of the family's income, and that includes taxes, insurance, and principal. And the second, and that's a mortgage that they pay back to us that we hold. The second is a non-payable mortgage that dissolves in time, and there's an equity share program through the years of the mortgage that favors the family more each year. And Granite Street will represent our 12th family, Nashua family, that we'll be supporting. And 85% of our applicants have school-age children, and we witnessed in our last sale, our home, we did a duplex on Paxton Terrace, which both had children that are thriving at their new school. We've had feedback from the moms that they're actively participating in the community, in the after-school program. They love it. Their grades are great. So that's kind of some of the outcome that we see. I do have some packets here that include a rendering of what the house will look like from our architect. It's conceptual. A plot plan. This actually includes our budget as well. And I did want to mention, thank you. I have a board member with us, Nora Boyle, who's our most important board member. She's our treasurer. So if any questions come up on that end. But you can see the plot layout, and we've worked with an engineer to lay that out. The budget, and then we included an evidence brief on the benefits of home ownerships for families and children. So it's a really nice piece to read. So do you have any questions about the project? Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this the first house on Granite Street that I know not with you, I didn't have this conversation, but I know
Yeah.
there was a conversation about a couple of properties, and I think that they were going to rehab one or two of them.
This is the first on Granite Street.
The first build on Granite Street?
Yes.
Did you not, I apologize.
No, I think this is our first on
Okay.
Granite Street.
I don't know why, I'm recalling that there was a parking lot and another home on Granite Street. I thought that you were rehabbing. No? Okay.
No.
I must be misremembering then. Thank you so much.
If there's a parking lot, we'll take it. We'll put a house there.
Well, I believe it was Granite Street. There was a parking lot that was kind of more abandoned than anything else, that the residents were parking on, and Granite Street has very limited parking. So I remember
So
I was very
that is-
concerned about that when you guys took over and so on. And I thought you were building that house that was there kind of on the corner and. or
No,
gonna
so
rehab.
when we bought the subdivided lot from 18 Granite
Right.
Street, and it came with a garage on it that needed to be demolished.
Right.
So since that was in the late summer that we bought it, since then, we did the demolition, and then we put in this application.
Okay, thank you very much.
So it is flat, ready to go now.
Thank you.
So just a housekeeping, because we do have a transcriber, and we do have to use Robert Mason's rules, sorry.
Yes.
If somebody wants to contribute, feel free to step up to the mic with the speaker. You also have to give your name and address so we can differentiate.
Oh, okay.
That being said, I'm very familiar with Habitat for Humanity. You have two houses on Chestnut Street, which came out really, really well. One was the
Yes.
former site of Nashua Soup Kitchen and Shelters. We were happy to see it demolished after working there for a while. And then a new house to be built in its stead, where two families, moved in and have contributed well to the neighborhood. And then across the street, I think there was a fire which demolished part of the building, and Habitat was able to put in that place two families as well, which again, they contribute a lot to the neighborhood. They're happy to be there. Overall, they're part of Nashua, and the way that they got there isn't so different as who they are and what they bring now today. With the the comment you said earlier, though, 12 families, both of those sites were two-family sites. I had connections with Habitat way back when I was in college, which is a little while ago. So has the Nashua area Habitat been struggling with land access, or are there older homes that might be in the area?
Those were just our Nashua families. So there's other family that we serve 14 towns. So we have built houses in Wilton and other towns as well. So that was the number for our Nashua families.
Okay, and I think Nashua grew up pretty quickly here and didn't have a lot of available plots of land, so it might have been easier to focus on other areas. But in addition to the housing, the building of the houses and that kind of stuff, which is kind of like your branding program, you also do a lot for handicapped adults?
We have a critical home repair program, which we're actually just relaunching after COVID, and it is picking up pace very, very quickly. So we have a new critical home repair manager. So we set all our policies and procedures, make sure we're following all our guidelines. And we've started marketing to places like the Senior Center, Meals on Wheels. And what it is to provide home repairs. So for current homeowners that can't afford to make improvements that will allow them to stay safely in their homes. So sometimes disabilities, handicap ramps. We actually have a ramp call this week that actually came up. We have a sample is grab bars in a bathroom or flooring that is not safe. So anything like that that would allow the family or the homeowner to stay safely in their home. And that program is, like I said, really taking off and building back up after COVID.
Okay.
We also like to do community partnerships as well. You mentioned the soup kitchen. We did a ramp there. We built a swing set at the Front Door Agency. We had a playhouse that just got transformed into a 24-hour accessible food pantry that's going to be opening up soon for the United Way. So we love the community collaboration and the partnerships as well.
So HUD doesn't just give funding without 27,000 strings attached. With regards to all of the things, I remember some struggles with having to put sprinklers in closets in the basement of some of the other houses. They're very, very thorough. Where are you in the planning board application process and all that for permitting?
We're still in the design phase. We're waiting till this funding comes through, and then we'll be working on finishing the design and doing the excavation and working that part.
What's the overall makeup of the funding that you're gonna need for this project? I'm assuming it's not this. This is maybe just part of it?
This is part of it. I included the full budget, which is $368. This would help us through the first 2 phases. That really helps bridge that gap to launch while we have some fundraisers planned. So the other portion will be made up by fundraisers, our annual appeal, and homeowner sponsorships. We've had one solid and a couple verbal commitments come in since the application, and grant funding as well from specifically Eastern Bank, United Way. So all of those will make up the rest of the funding. We also hold our mortgages, so the families that are paying, that have purchased homes from us, that goes into, even if it's a small amount of the principal, because it is set at 30% of their income and taxes gets first. So after that, what's left goes into home building accounts that we hold as well to make up some of that gap funding as well. And then we also look for in-kind partnerships, as many as possible. And our volunteer build crew put in the volunteer hours for the labor. We do sub out licensed plumbing and electric and excavation, things like that.
Mr. Long, if you want to clarify anything I'm saying here that might be wrong, the home funds are federal funding, which in this case is being used to leverage additional sources of funding. Some might be private, some might be nonprofit, other types of things.
Yes.
And this is coming from last year's budget, or?
No, a budget that we've done specifically for this house.
Okay, I was directing it to Mr. Long,
Oh,
Julian,
sorry.
who runs our CDBG. He's on Zoom.
Hi, this is Julian Long, Urban Programs Manager. So yes, this is correct. This would be coming out of our FY 2023 funds, possibly some prior year funds, but mostly FY 2023, not our future year funds.
Okay, so this is a separate pot from what we're discussing tonight as well.
Julian Long, yes, that's correct. We still have funds available.
I just thought I'd reassure the audience. Any other questions from the board?
Great.
I think I saw Alderman Kelly.
I didn't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you for coming forward, and
thank
I was
you.
there for the groundbreaking of 10 Paxton, so it's nice to hear that the families are thriving there. So
Yeah,
looking
it's
forward to it.
exciting. And as soon as we move ahead with excavation, we'll plan another groundbreaking and
Sounds great.
we'll let you know.
All right, it looks like it's good for now. If the committee doesn't have any further questions, I'll call for a vote to recommend final passage. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And motion carries. So your next stop is Board of Aldermen.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. R23-102, authorizing the mayor to apply for and expend the Community Development Block Grant CDBG and Home Investment Partnership Program funds for fiscal year 2024. Mr. Chairman, I motion to recommend approval.
Okay. So with that in mind, Manager Long, you said we need to do our allocations all tonight, and you were hoping to have it for the May 17th board, May 16th board meeting?
This is Julian Long. Yes, we're required by HUD to submit our annual action plan by May 15th. So in order to meet that deadline, you would need to make your allocations tonight. So the full action plan and allocations can go to the full board before the May 15th deadline.
Okay. Are you able to share screen? Can we put that?
Yes, I can put it up here.
Okay.
Just gotta remember how to do this. Share clerk PC, right? Did I do it? Yes.
Yep, good job.
Okay, let me- Now it's here somewhere.
Alderman Limpus?
Alderman Kelly?
If I could ask a question to start off here.
Absolutely.
There it is.
Just making sure I understand correctly, because we're usually at a deficit, but your memo from earlier this year noted that we have, let me find the right number. $624,308 in CDBG funding plus 80,423 that was unexpended. So does that mean our total allocation that we have is around 704? Is that correct?
Manager Long?
This is Julian. Yes, there is that additional amount, and there is also an additional 100,000 from a canceled public facilities projects.
And if I could follow up,
Mhm.
it looks like every requested application only adds up to around 592,000. Is that correct? 158 and 6 cents.
Manager Long?
This is Julian Long. Yes, but we also, you have to account for the 20% for admin and planning. I don't, I can do the math real quick to see if,
So we have to take 20, I've done this for how many years and I always forget. So we have to take 20% of that and set it aside.
yes. So that's going to be 124,862,000. And I believe it's just 10% for HUD, but let me double check that real quick.
Alderwoman Kelly, I have it up on the screen too.
Yeah, I have the same thing in front of me.
One second, I confirm. What page was it?
This is page 24. So
So, Manager Long, if I understand this right, the CDBG grant administration and project delivery are not movable objects? We can't be like, nah, let's not do that.
This is Julian Long again. So yes, so program delivery, that is staff.
So 20% is put aside for that. And I'm sorry, I spoke out of turn.
Alderman Kelly.
Thank you. Did you clarify the 10% is the HUD set aside as well?
Pardon me. This is Julie Long. I meant to say the home program. Yes, we're allowed to spend up to 10% of our home grant on admin as well.
But that's a different allocation, correct?
That's a different allocation. That
Okay.
is correct.
So the total amount we have to expend is 563,784.
Julian Long, that sounds correct, but I will do some quick math just to make sure all the numbers are.
So we're about 30,000 away if we were to give our money. Okay, thank you.
We gotta know what we're working with.
This is Julian Long. While I am double checking numbers, are there any other questions I can answer?
Actually, I have a question.
Alderman Kelly.
This might get a little in the weeds, but you said there's unexpended from last year. Does that still fall under? So now we have this new bucket. It still all falls under that 20%.
This is Julian Long. So the 20% we're basing on just the grant that we're getting for next year. So
Gotcha.
just 20% of that funds, not 20% of all the overall funds.
Okay.
We do have the ability to base it on 20% of the overall funds, but that tends to get very financially messy. And it's just easier since those costs are very predictable because it's salary, it's benefits, some other things that tend not to change terribly year to year. It's just easier to base it on the base grant and not prior year funds.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, we would be taking 80% of 624.38 plus the unexpended, and that'll give us what we have to allocate this evening. I'm coming up with 579,869. I feel like this is the hardest part of this committee.
This is Julia Long. The number I have available for total allocations for next year, and this includes prior year funds that are unexpended and subtracts the 20% for admin and planning costs, is $679,869.88.
So the proposed recommendations I'm seeing only total 557,270, but that's before we add the 20% on? Is that correct? Manager Long?
This is Julia Long. Yes, the total amount should be $592,158.06.
Could you, Alderman Lopez?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Can you clarify your number? I'm sorry if I'm just being dense here, but I had our allocation for this year, 624,308, which would be subject to the 20% set aside, plus the 80,423 from last year, and I get 579,869. But you said 679.
Oh, I'm in the wrong one?
Are you guys tracking what I'm saying?
I'm not sure, actually, because everything I keep hearing sounds like too good to be true.
I know, that's why I'm a little bit
Yeah.
hesitant, because we usually are having to cut quite a bit, so that's why I was double checking the numbers.
Mayor?
Alderman Clee?
Yeah. Yes, he did reference the 679,869.88, and I have to agree with you, Alderwoman Kelly. I'm not quite coming up with the same number as yours, but I'm not coming up with the 679. I hate to ask this, Mr. Long, but can we ask you to show us your math? Explain to us each of the numbers so that we can look at it ourselves?
Yes, this is Julie Long. So to get to the number I originally got to, I took the base of CDBG funding of 6,024,308. I added prior year funds, which is in the memo noted is 80,423.48 cents. And then this is not in the memo, but there is also another 100,000 in prior year, and I added that. And that takes me up to 804,731.48 cents. Then I subtracted 1,024,861.60 cents, which is our admin and planning. And that, according to my calculations, is 6,079,869.88 cents.
Yep, we're exactly 100,000
I
off.
see that now.
Yep, I see it now. We're good.
Okay.
So then I would venture. We've never had to worry about it, but it looks like we have enough to allocate all of these projects.
All
I
right.
think so.
Is that right?
Yeah?
Manager Long, is that your concurrence? Because I mean, I kind of want to just approve what you proposed, but I don't want to find out later we were wrong.
it looks it,
Okay, well, if all three of you are saying that,
yeah,
then why not do it the easy way?
exactly.
Okay. So,
Oh, God. Sorry. It just keeps going away on me. I'm just trying to make it big enough so that we can actually see it.
it's not gonna get that big for me.
Yeah, not for
Just
you.
let it go.
That's true. There we go. So we have the 557, 270.
Okay.
Do we need to read each one of these, or do we just say
We
as
usually do each
reported?
one of those, but we usually go one by one and say we
Each
approve,
one?
but that's not the same number as what's in the,
557, 270
Yeah,
is, yeah.
we've been saying 592 something. So
He said
what's-
592, 15806.
Yeah.
So we need to know what the difference is.
Yep.
Did you want to ask?
Manager Long, can you provide some clarification why there's a difference?
In our agenda, it says 557, 270, and you said it was 592, 158. A couple of people from the audience.
Oh, approach, name and address for clarification purposes.
Krista Sekrensis from Greater Nashua Habitat for Humanity, 10 Clinton Drive in Hollis. From what I previously looked at, I believe that spreadsheet might be from the CAC, not
yeah.
CDBG.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this doesn't look like the same ones.
This is
Because
not-
there's a
okay.
couple programs on there that I know that wouldn't apply for us under CDBG. So I think
Yeah.
I was
that
wondering why upbeat.
that
was
could
in
be
there.
the difference.
That's not right,
All
that's
right,
not
that
right.
makes sense.
Okay, good,
Okay, let me, come on,
thank you,
close this.
that helps.
Let it in. There we go. So he is there. So do we have the list of where they're going?
Yeah, so that was in.
Manager
You're
Long, hold on,
muted.
you're muted. Uh-oh.
You're
Still
still
no
muted.
audio.
Okay, now it's okay.
Apologies, this is Julian Long. We still do have to make choices because we have other funding requests that were not through the grant application process for the home improvements program of $125,000. The rental improvements program is $25,000, and our project delivery costs of $125,000. So including those costs, if my math is correct, that brings the total amount to $867,158.06.
So I'm thinking this is where that is in the memo.
Can I ask a question?
Alderman Kelly?
Yeah, I have that.
So I see your home improvements and rental. I have some questions around that because I know we've flip-flopped those numbers in the past. Project delivery, this is different than the 20% set aside for staffing. This is specific to the projects?
Yeah.
This is Julian Long. Yes, that is correct. We are able to, this is staff salary. This is, our construction manager, Mike Junkers. And we are able to spend that outside of the general admin cap. So I will say that if we can leave that number untouched, that is the most important. And of course, we're happy to, discuss adjusting the numbers for the home improvements program and rental improvements program as needed.
Okay.
Can read it through here.
Okay. So we're looking at a 187,298 deficit.
That feels more like it.
Yeah, that's where okay.
Remember, I was looking at the initial part of the memo here.
Right here.
Yep.
But this doesn't have the individual applications.
What's below it?
There was a memo, Tricia, if you're looking, there was a memo in our packet
Okay.
Yeah.
that was pretty clear on the 28th.
Do you know what
February.
page on on our package it is?
Yeah, hold on one second. It's the packet from March 9th. And if you go to the third page, it's like a nice, clean,
Okay,
bulleted
so
list of
package
what was asked for.
from the 9th?
Yeah, if you go to our agenda on the 9th and
Go
then,
to the 9th.
okay. If I could,
Alderman Kelly.
so can you quickly remind us, I'm sure we've talked about it, but this is always such a month-long process that I forget, where we are with home improvements and rental improvements and, you know, how they've been, utilized and over the last year or so?
Manager
This is
Long?
Julian. Yes, happy to do so. So, so far, the home improvements program has been far more utilized than the rental improvements program, which is why we've requested more money for home improvements than rental improvements. We actually, as you might remember, recently requested to move some of the money from rental to home improvements. We are working on getting some updated numbers from finance, but we think we're very close to having expended all of the funds allocated for this current program year.
When you say all of the funds, are you talking about rental and home?
No, for home improvement funds, there is still some rental improvement funds.
Okay.
So we have to cut the 187, is that what we're looking at?
I think so.
We also tend to go round and round about whether we want to put anything in contingency, but it seems like sometimes unexpended can kind of cover
Go into there, yeah.
contingency. So I think last year we left it as 0.
This is Julian Long. Yeah, generally HUD wants all the funds allocated to projects and not contingency. So we do generally and will generally have prior year funds that are unexpended. Projects sometimes fall through. We also do get program income because we do get repayments for our home improvements program when people sell their properties.
Okay. So does the board want to, or the committee want to start just by trying a level fund reduction? Are there any projects on here that are like, we need the price tag?
May I ask Mr. Long a question?
Alderman Clee?
Thank you. Mr. Long, looking at the memo that you sent that was in the March 9th package, you have a couple of items here that are highlighted. The stepping stones construction of $150,000, and then you have the National Community Development Division and National Economic Division, $50,000 matching grants, facade improvements to the downtown core area. Why are those particular ones highlighted?
This is Julian Long. They were highlighted because they were changes from the previous memo in February. Stepping Stones increased its funding request to $150,000 based on the change of scope of the project when they started pursuing the Daniel Webster College property. And the Community Development Division and Economic Development Division's request for facade improvements came in after the original February memo.
Thank you.
Manager Long, can you clarify the facade improvements program and maybe compare and contrast it to?
Director Sullivan's here.
Oh, Director Sullivan could do it too.
This was his request.
Whoever would
He spoke
prefer.
at it. Yeah.
So if you could describe what's intended and then also maybe articulate how it wouldn't be something that maybe Downtown Improvement Committee could be looking at?
Community Development Director Matt Sullivan. First, I would address the fact that Downtown Improvement Committee certainly could look at this. However, the traditional mechanism that's been used for this program has been CDBG funding, based primarily in the intent that these would be low to moderate income, either owners or business entities that could benefit from the funding, and it seemed like a good use of these program funds. The intent is, in fact, to fund facade improvements for those very same individuals and organizations in the downtown. A similar program was set up in the early 2010s and was very successful and resulted in several improvements in the downtown core. This seemed like an appropriate time to reinvest in this program based on the unprecedented amount of redevelopment and new development in that downtown core. I will admit that the $50,000 number was somewhat arbitrary. However, based on past experience with a maximum award of $10,000 per facade improvement, the intent here was to make enough funding available for 5 individual entities, businesses, or properties to apply for and be awarded the program funding. Certainly, as I mentioned at the prior meeting where this was considered, that number could be reduced, but I think we're looking to implement as much of this program as possible, and the $50,000 is an appropriate ask.
Just a follow-up,
Yes.
Is there any criteria for it? Is this cosmetic changes? Because I mean, I recall a facade falling off the building over here and displacing a number of people.
Yeah, no. Community Development Director Matt Sullivan. There are some loose criteria, and when I say loose criteria, there is option here for a business owner, a property owner, or a business entity to apply for a variety of different types of facade improvement. It could be used for a sign, it could be used for an awning, it could be used for window signage, and it could be used for actual structural improvements, painting, really anything that would generally improve the outside look and feel of a business entity in the downtown. So when I say loose criteria, it can really be many different types of improvements within a business entity's facade. I will say that the criteria that are critical are eligibility criteria, and that is that this program, as it's contemplated right now, will be intended to benefit low to moderate income entities or property owners. The only exception to that might be if the city goes through some sort of slum and blight designation, which is not initially considered at this time, but could in fact be pursued in the event that an entity applies for funding that does not qualify as low to moderate income. A slum and blight ruling could in fact open up some eligibility for other entities as well. But there are criteria both from a programmatic income perspective and then from the fact simply that it has to be focused on the facade itself at the business and not to some other interior renovation.
Are there any criteria that the business owners involved have to be in the city of Nashua, but Nashua taxpayers, anything like, well, I mean, I guess if they're property owners there, but.
Community Development Director Matt Sullivan, I will defer to Mr. Long, but my understanding is that the criteria do not require that the applicant be a City of Nashua taxpayer from a residential perspective, but it does require obviously that the entity itself is within the City of Nashua and within the downtown core.
Okay. Manager Long, you can confirm that?
This is Julian Long. Yes, I believe that's correct, that it is not required that the property owner or even the tenant be a resident of the city of Nashua.
I have a question.
Alderman Kelly?
So you said that someone has to be a low to moderate income, but we're talking about property owners in downtown.
Yeah.
So how many people does fall into this designation? Those buildings are all worth quite a bit.
Mr. Chair, I'll just briefly respond to this. It does certainly narrow the number of entities that might be able to apply. I think you're making an accurate statement in that it's unlikely that owners will be the applicants for this program. It's much more likely that we have either new businesses or existing businesses that may have suffered during COVID or the like, that may have lower reportable income during the period of time that we'll be looking at, that might be interested in participating in the program. But it's absolutely fair to say that not that all property owners are in a solid financial position, but it's unlikely that we'll have owners themselves applying and much more likely that we'll have businesses.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I think probably given the circumstances that there's other funding sources and that could be pursued and that this is a smaller population being served, I'm not quite as favorable towards maintaining full funding for them. But what do other committee members feel about the idea of meeting some of this need by level reducing, like maybe 3 or 5%, something like that, and then targeting specific uses? Alderman Kelly?
I personally would like to see us look at some of the ones that are a little bit more loose in how we put the money in, whether it's the home improvement rental. That's where we've generally looked when we're trying to reduce. I'd love to fully fund as many projects as possible versus, Director Sullivan, I think this program makes sense, but he said it was sort of an arbitrary number. So I would like to kind of start there. I heard rental hasn't really been used. Do we take that 25 out? So I have a few ideas, but I think I prefer that to then level cutting everybody. So no one gets a full project cost.
Right, to clarify, I wasn't suggesting we level cut everybody equally to meet the full gap, but maybe just to start to reduce it so that projects like this being reduced would get us closer to the finish line. Alderman Khalid?
Thank you. I do agree with Alderwoman Kelly relative to the rental improvements program of the $25,000, removing that one. The home improvement program, I could see maybe reducing it by a $25,000, but not reducing it by much, because this is as much needed as these other entities that have come forward to us, because there are often times when homeowners that are in this predicament of suddenly their heating system goes and they need some assistance. And I think that that one is very, very important. May I ask Mr. Long a question?
Absolutely.
The rental improvements program, what is the current funding of that, or do we have a revolving account on that?
This is Julian Long. For program income, so far we've been combining program income we receive for both the housing improvements and the rental improvements programs. So that is a possible funding source. And I believe we currently have 25,000 of current year funds available for that.
In the rental improvements program, we have 25,000 currently in there?
Julian Long, yes, I believe that's the approximate amount.
May I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
I kind of have like a dual question here, and I think we've asked this last year as well. Has anyone applied for any funding out of this program, and is the word out that this program exists?
This is Julian Long. No one has applied so far this year. I think getting the word out is something that we could certainly do a lot better. Depending on how much money is or is not funded for next year, that'll probably depend on how much we push the program. But we'll certainly be doing some additional efforts. I believe it was at the last Human Affairs Committee meeting. I believe it was Alderwoman Kelly who suggested reaching out to nonprofits who own, rental properties, and that's something that we think is a very promising avenue since they serve a lot of low to moderate income residents.
May I? Thank you. While I do agree with that thinking, this can also be for an individual person that may own this that is in need of some kind of assistance and so on. And I go back to the uglies of our bed bug discussions when we have these rental properties that are low income, and now we have an owner who has to go through and do whatever mitigation it is to get rid of these, whether and it's really not their fault that this has happened, but can these monies at all ever be used for that particular situation?
This is Julian Long. Yes. Depending on the specifics of what needs to happen in the building, the answer is absolutely, we could use funds for this. And, we have a pretty good relationship with our code enforcement. Mr. Ortega's office is right next to mine, and certainly he knows he can direct residents to us. And And that includes, property owners who might have things they need to improve in their buildings.
Then if I may make a comment, then I have to admit that after this little conversation, I'm not really sure that we do want to cut the 25,000 out of this program. I think we're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of that no one's applying to it because we're not pushing it because there's not a lot of money in it. And if we continue not to put any money in it, and while I think every one of these projects is extraordinarily important, I think something to the effects of the rental improvements, the home improvement program and so on is equally as important. I would like to see this program pushed a little bit more, even if we don't have all the funds that people want. At least it would show an appetite that there's a need for it. If we keep it in the shadows, no one's ever going to know that it's there. So, I mean, I would not say no to cutting the 25,000, but I want to really think hard about it. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
In one moment, Alderman Kelly, in the conversation that you had, it did occur to me, and I just want to confirm with Manager Long, are any of the projects that are proposed here through CDBG projects that could have used the rental program as an alternative to applying for funding in the way that they did?
Is he muted again?
This is Julian Long. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes on the projects. For many of them, no. But for some of them, yes. I think possibly the Marguerite's Place project could be probably front door agency. The program for both housing improvements and rental improvements has a cap that's lower than a lot of these projects, and also it's limited to general kind of like health and safety issues versus general renovation is the scope. So the answer is for some, yes, but not for all.
Okay. This isn't the first time we've talked about this with the urban programs. And I mean, I think I've at least done this for 4 years. So I think my opinion is if they have 25,000 and they're asking for 25,000 more, why not just leave the 25,000 they have and instead of giving them more, distribute that to other people. And then if they're able to get better buy-in from the community and if they're able to engage, then we have something to talk about next meeting or next year.
I agree. That's what I said. I don't balk at the doing it. I just want to push the program in the future. Not to say, well, we only have 25,000, so let's not advertise too much. I think we do need to advertise, and if the funds are used, then we know next year we have to put that $25,000 back or more.
Right. In that year that we have an extra 25,000, we can put it in.
Yep.
But in the meantime, I think that's probably one of the
Low-hanging fruit.
yes. Can you keep a track of the
Yeah,
low-hanging
I don't know if she's got
I'm
the-
starting. I usually have an Excel document, but I've been starting to kind of.
I don't know if they have it on here, if they did it.
If I could ask a question.
Alderman Clee? I'm sorry, Kelly. Everyone's got a K in their name.
I was gonna say, close.
Director Long, in the project delivery, is that just an estimate as well? I feel like I still don't quite understand what that bucket of money is. So if we say yes to stepping stones, they're doing it, this is money to then help with the project management of that?
This is Julian Long. So this is salary and benefits for our construction projects manager, Mike Junkers, who oversees all of the public facilities projects and is also the main person involved in housing improvements and rental improvements, the programs.
And just to clarify again, because I know I asked this, but I just want to make sure, that is a whole separate bucket than the cap that you had set aside from the original bucket for other salaries, correct?
This is Julian Long. Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to bring it up on here, I think. Okay, there it is. patient with me. I'm fast once I get started.
You're doing the work and we're not, so we appreciate it. Also, for members of the public to know, Alderman Clee came directly from another meeting, so I appreciated her getting up to speed at the beginning of the meeting so quickly.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Okay. Back here. Marguerite. Now.
You put them on?
Yep, I am, so that we'll have them.
So Manager Long, this could be something you do next year to win a little bit of grace from the board.
Yeah, it is helpful if we have it in,
Pre-existing spreadsheet formula we
Yes.
can change instead of entering.
This is Julian Long. Yes, I apologize for the confusion regarding numbers, and I will absolutely try to make it much more clearer for next year.
okay, so let me get the numbers here. Oops, 217. 25217. Oops, I have too many here. What did I miss? Okay, that's right, because this is home improvement, right? I'm down one.
Manager Long, with regards to the process, you said that we have to have our allocations in for May 15th. Do you have a firm estimate on how much we're likely to get? I think last year there was some question as to whether we're just working off of what we think we're going to get from based on last year or whether we're actually getting it.
Yes, this is Julian Long. These are the real numbers. Our grant allocation did come out in February, so these are the final numbers. There won't be a readjustment.
Okay. Any particular reason why they were so much faster this year?
Not COVID.
This is Julian Long. So it follows the congressional budget cycle. HUD has a certain number of days, which I don't recall offhand, after the budget's finalized for them to do the formula allocations, and it varies greatly year to year based on how things go in Congress.
So these are fixed, we can't change these, right? The home, oh no, we can change these.
We can change those, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. And our bottom line that we have to meet is 592,158.
No, that's the full request.
That's a full request. What is the bottom line that we have to meet?
We have to meet.
579, right? Mr. Long, the number that we have to reconcile to?
This is Julian Long. Including or not including the 20% for admin?
Not including. I didn't put that in here, so.
Okay. Let me get that for you real quick.
You just put it in there, might make it easier.
And, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do next, yeah.
The total number was 867,168. In requests, that includes the 3 requests from.
867,168, you said?
Yeah.
That includes the 20% or without the 20%?
That's a good question. That was what Director Long gave us, I'm not sure.
This is Julian Long. I don't remember whether that includes it. We'll get that to you in
That's
just.
fine. Doing all our hard thinking tonight. You must be missing something.
This is Julie Long. The 867, et cetera number is not including the 20% for admin and planning.
Okay, great,
Okay.
good. Let me just finish this formula here. Minus this number here. Okay, that should be right. Okay, that's my dot, and what you're saying is my circular. Pages not like these.
I think when we ask for transparency in government, we're not usually expecting to watch it get
Okay,
typed
good.
in.
There we
Oh
go.
no, this is how this
Okay,
always
so,
goes.
so this line here that you can see here, this 867, that number should be reduced as we're putting numbers here. So when we hit 0, we're good.
Okay.
Okay? That's what that number is. Okay, so, whoops, I should, let me take.
You should move it
Sorry, I have to
down.
move this, yeah, I have to move this number down. And then I'll just change it, I'll fix the formula. Okay, so let's see here.
I was gonna say it's wrong.
Sorry, what?
Children's Home says 1,000 instead of 10,000,
Okay.
but I
We'll
don't
fix
think
it,
it's.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I knew this was enough.
Okay, let's change this to 19. Okay, that's better. Okay, so which one is wrong? I'm sorry. Oh, here.
Children's
Yeah, I put
10,000,
1,000 instead of 10.
Thank
One-
you.
0 makes a big difference.
It does,
Okay,
yes. Okay, so if we zero this one out,
I agree with that.
okay. And anything else we wanted to reduce? Or we said something about
This is such a hard thing,
this one
but
here, the zero out, okay?
yeah, it's such
Okay.
a hard thing. But I was wondering if we just start by capping everyone's allocations at 100,000, that gets us really close. I'd like to ask a question to anyone who's here, like
If we do
stepping
that-
stones. So like, stepping stones would be 100 instead of 150. And
the
then go
only other
down
one
to
is
First
this one
Church,
here.
yeah.
Okay, and then I'll just move these over. Equals.
And if you do the same to home improvement,
Wait a minute, let me just get these all over here first. Oops, excuse me. Equals. And I'll fix those numbers in a minute. This way I don't have to retype. Okay. Oops. And so we're gonna make this 100,000. Okay, and then this one's 100,000. And this one here, you said 100,000?
I would just do it to the
The
home
home
improvements one.
Okay.
I was concerned about changing the project development if it's tied to a salary.
Okay. Make sure I have this formula right. This is that. Oops, okay, I see I made a mistake here. We still want to keep this one the same, right?
125, yes.
Okay. Come on. And we're gonna get rid of this one here,
Yep,
correct?
we
Okay.
talked about that, yep.
And we're gonna zero this one out. And this one, we leave that, so. Oops, I have to get rid of this, sorry. Delete. Okay.
There,
So now we're down to 125,000. Oops, delete this one, sorry. We may be closer. I may have screwed this one
I was
up.
gonna say that feels,
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, no, it's right. I did 19, yeah. So 125,000 is 1, 2, 3. So let me do this. Equals this times 90%. Wait, I know.
Can you copy that and just put,
It's only just do this here, and then I'll fix the others. Just give me a second here. Bring this back to 100,000. Bring this back to 100,000.
I'm not following very good. That's okay.
What I did was I just reduced, oops, I knew that.
Control Z.
No, I just meant to do this.
I'm just wondering about your formula, because if you look at what we took out, it should add up to 175, and we only had 187 deficit.
Okay, hold on a moment, let me just get this back over here.
So reason why you don't use Excel in my daily life.
And fix that to be, bring this over here. And bring this over here. Okay, so we have the 125. Now we'll bring this over here.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's, but this should be zeroed out. That's what we're hoping to do, is get this zeroed out. This column D, by the way, is just 10% reduction on all of these, less, not those that we brought down to 100,000 already.
I see.
Yeah. So this is.
I do want to ask a couple questions to people who are in the audience, but I hope they all know we're just discussing this right now, but the other thing I was thinking, I think we had talked about, we don't often get requests for operating, so if we took out both operating budget requests, then we're pretty much at zero.
Okay.
But both of the organizations that asked for operating budgets are here.
Okay,
So
I would want us to invite them up and have them explain.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that, and I'd love to hear from Stepping Stones about the 150, what percentage of that project cost does it cover?
Okay. If you're willing to come up and interview, then we'd definitely appreciate that.
Just for clarification, and Alderman Kelly, when I did the 90%, it brings it down to that we're still shy 169,000.
Why don't you guys take seats, that way, just in case there's more.
We're still over by 169,000, I believe.
What,
Right.
so it was.
Right.
I think.
You can come into the horseshoes, I think is what he's saying.
Yes, I'm sorry.
There's Stepping Stones, who was the other one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Greater Nashua Habitat for Humanity.
Want to grab my seat?
Just a note too, I know you guys originally had zeroed out line 12 and now.
Can you talk into the mic so everyone can pick it up? That's okay, I just want
sorry.
everyone at home to be able to
Also,
hear
use
you
your name
say.
and address because you're sitting in the wrong labels, I don't want to confuse anyone.
So Kathy Farland, Stepping Stones, 3 Pine Street Extension in Nashua.
I fixed it.
Okay.
Yes, that looks right. So my question to you was, you had originally requested operating budget as well as 150 for the new project, which I'm really excited about for you. Question one was, what would happen if you didn't get the operating budget?
So the operating budget would be funds for the drop-in center, because we'll still have the drop-in center open. So that's separate, completely separate program from the other program. I mean, we'd have to make it up somewhere, I guess.
Okay, and then the 150 for the 15 units, what percentage of that build cost does that represent?
About 60%.
Okay,
We don't have all of the figures in yet for the work that needs to be done. The mold remediation by itself is $80,000.
okay.
And then we also need to replace the heating system completely in the building as well. So that's another $50,000 to $60,000. I don't have exact estimates, but we've been given some rough estimates.
Great, and if I could follow on,
my
what
God.
was your plan for the, I didn't.
Let's just
whisper.
call this interview phase here.
Okay,
We're gonna
great,
ask
I love
every
it,
time.
I love it. What was your plan for, bridging that gap, that 40%, for those units?
So we have, actually, let me check my handy dandy spreadsheet here.
We got a few of those hanging around today.
So we have, we've put aside $50,000 in the last 2 years towards this project. So that's some of the funds. We have about $30,000 in grants that we've received specifically for the housing program as well. So that's all in-house already for those two things. We also have several organizations that are doing fundraisers for us this summer that we expect to be about $72,000. And we don't have any of those funds specifically targeted for the townhouses. That's more just the overall program, the independent living program.
Great, thank you. I had the same question around your operating budget and if you
Right.
want.
Sure, Krista Sequenzis, Executive Director, Greater Nashua Habitat for Humanity. So we requested operating funding. New construction doesn't qualify under CDBG, and the operating helps us. We run a very, very tight ship, very lean staff, 2 full-time, 2 part-time, helps us administrate all our programs, including the critical home repair, which actually benefits some of the same participants as these other programs. We are doing our best regrowth after the pandemic and relaunching fundraisers and solidifying that growth and that building and the awareness overall. And this would help with the administrative portion of that.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any further questions?
No.
Okay. I hope we got them all. Do you guys want to have a seat again?
Okay, sure.
Thank you so much. Alderman Clay, can you explain, so you're 90, that you just went ahead and 90%?
I just did
of
90,000.
Everybody?
With the exception of
Exception
the
of the
ones
ones
that we'd
that we
already
cut to
cut.
100.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep, Alderman King, sorry.
Thank you. In looking in all of this, and why I think it is a need to increase more additional activity for the elderly, I see that the Senior Activity Center is looking for almost $54,000 for a movable partition in the senior center. If they were coming in for a roof, I would not want to cut them or anything, but I think perhaps we can look to reduce that. Is there anybody here from the senior center at all, or there is? May I ask them a question?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Very
Could you come, yeah.
I believe they came, I'm not sure if you were here the first evening, but they did
Yeah.
talk about.
I apologize for not having been
No,
here
I was
yet.
gonna talk to it, but someone's here, so
That's okay.
I'll let her.
Thank you. I guess that is my question. I apologize for not having been here when you first spoke on this. So could you explain the partition and and trust me, I love the things that
I
have
know
been
you
there.
do. I saw you there volunteering just the other day, so I appreciate it. Margot Bell, Nashville Association for the Elderly, Executive Director, 15 Brian Drive, Nashville, New Hampshire. Since COVID has hit, a lot of programming has changed at the senior center. One of the programs that has become very vibrant is the music program. We host about 9 to 12 music programs per week. It's well participated in, whereas some of the other groups the attendance has gone down. Seniors, isolation was so hard during COVID. So to be able to offer something that offers engagement and their give back. The current room that they're housed in is a 2,000 plus square foot unit. It's also shared by card groups and other activities. We could expand that programming for the seniors who also go out in the community and entertain in a variety of places. They put on a show which does fundraising for us. They just like to give back to the community. I think it's an important program, and any support that can be lent towards it, that divider would allow us to have 2 programs going on at the same time.
Thank you, I appreciate
Yes.
that.
Questions?
No, thank you.
I have a question.
Oh.
Margot, if you don't mind. Are there any other areas in the senior center that could be used alternatively for either the card program or the singing program?
Yes and no. Most of them, another activity that has really increased is exercise and dance, yoga, Tai Chi. We have a divider in our dining room, so that allows us to have both the lunch program, Meals on Wheels, going on, and we can have exercise classes going on the other side of the room. Therefore, we can't really have music there. And then our exercise dance room has those programs going on too. So the soundproofing, all of those little components make it really important.
Okay. That helps, I appreciate it.
We still have a conundrum of $214,000.
Even with level reductions. And for our remaining programs, I'm particularly loath to cut from programs that might not have other alternative resources or other structures in place, particularly the newer applicants that it's maybe their first time trying it. They may have a project that otherwise wouldn't get done.
Right.
Alderman Lopez.
Alderman Kelly, sorry.
So I know that one of the things we've talked about consistently is how much housing is needed, so I've been trying to prioritize ones that are specific to either supporting housing or putting in new housing. So I would be loath to see any of those get significantly cut, knowing that that is such a huge need right now in every community, but especially here in Nashua.
Alderman Clee.
Thank you. The other one is as a safety issue. I know I'm like 90%, I cut the children's home down to 9,000, but that is a fire panel update replacement for the residential facility for the foster children. And I look at that as a true safety issue, and I have concerns on that. The truth is there's nothing here that would be just for us to be able to cut randomly. When you look at the Mary Sweeney home, the HVAC upgrades replacement for the senior living facility, that's as important as housing is. So every one of these is worthy of it. I think we're going to have to do a flat cut in order to be able to make this.
Okay. I'm reluctant to bring it up because obviously it's in my ward and I have a lot of connections with that program, but PAL has been trying to fix that door for like 10 years. It's a security door that when the fire alarm goes off, the door shuts. And I don't think we're the only possible way they could be doing that.
Yeah.
And they did recently just complete a lot of renovations, so, I mean, if there's some karma on this, then I will help them personally if I can, but, to fundraise, but I do think that's something that's doesn't meet the criteria that have already been described. Alderman Kelly?
I wanted to ask the two aldermen in the room if they remember where we've, I know we did some work on the senior center roof. Did that come from the general fund? Do you remember? Or was that escrow?
Actually, the person who probably knows
Mr.
is
Fredette.
former treasurer
Mr. That
Fredette.
probably knows, yeah, that's a good point.
The roof came from the building trust fund, mostly, and maybe a little bit out of maintenance department here at City Hall. Remember, the building is owned by the city of Nashua.
Right.
Could we do the partition from the building trust fund?
You guys can do anything you want, but it's really up to, you'd have to talk to Tim Cummins and purchase it. I'm not sure if that would meet the criteria myself, but.
It's just,
Worth a shot, and thank you for being a resource.
My address, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Fredette, 4 Henry David Drive, Nashua.
Thank you very much.
There's. Okay, so 100. Could we get this one back here?
Alderman Lopez?
Alderman Kelly?
Go ahead.
Oh, Kathy. Name and address,
I
please.
think there might be a math error.
Okay, that's fine.
I added up the 90% and I came up to 652, 942.25 for that column.
Which one, I'm sorry, this
The
one here?
90% total. I came up was 652, 942, 25, if you add all those up. So
Okay.
I don't think it's $200,000 over.
No, it's not. That's, this number here
Yeah.
is
How
the
close we are.
difference between the total of this minus this figure here. Minus this 8. So this tells me how much more we need to cut. So here, I needed to cut 175,000 to get to here. So what I just didn't do was do this. If I had done this, you probably would have understood it better.
But you're trying to get to 867, right?
Right.
And the total is 652, so you're already $200,000 under.
No, it's not that. What is the number we're trying to get to? Yeah, it is.
867,168.
Mr. Long, can you tell us the number that we need to get to?
Make sure he's not muted, because you've been out for a
Okay,
while.
yeah.
Apologies, this is Julian Long. It's the 867 number.
867. So the total of this, if we took all those out, brings us to 692. So let's see what the asks were. The asks are, that can't possibly be right. Yeah, it is. Oh, no, it's not. Get rid of this. Oops, that's okay. Let me just give it to you. Okay, this equals the sum of, way too far.
Alderman Lopez, you had recognized me before the clerical error discussion. I was wondering if someone from First Church was here or not. Because that was another project that they talked about at our first
Our
meeting.
family promise, I think, was with that.
May I ask a question again, if that's okay?
Sure.
Oh,
If
so
anyone
Mr.
from
Long.
First Church or Family Promise is here, please approach Alderman Lee to the manager Long.
Thank you so much. Maybe I did a typo here, but when I add this entire column of the asks, I come up with $867,158.06, which brings us below the $867,168. So I can double check my numbers that I typed in.
Make sure there isn't a phone line.
Right.
This-
Well, there's no
No,
phone.
that is the request number, but
This
what
is
we have.
Julian Long.
Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah.
Manager Long?
Yeah, I apologize, I misspoke. Yes, that's the number of total requests. The number you actually want that we need to get to is 679, 869, and 88 cents.
Yes. That's where we're confused.
Okay, that makes more sense.
That helps. Okay.
Yes.
Apologies.
That's okay.
We're looking for 187,298. Wait. Okay.
Minus this. Just bring it up here. That's okay. I'll fix this, okay. Okay. So 187,288 is what we're looking for.
Yep.
And as we've been making the cut, so when we did the 90%, that brings us below.
Yeah, so let's
Okay.
refund some of those.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay,
love
so I can get
giving.
rid of these, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
How
So,
much below is it? 14, you said?
yeah, it's 14,427. So we could make the children's home whole,
Yeah.
You could give something to Pal.
and we could make Pal whole too.
What's the PAL
Yeah, we
project
can.
again?
Yeah.
Because we level cut the 100,000 first.
Yeah.
She didn't touch those.
Okay, so if I put this under two, let's see, what do I have here? Not that one, right? Excuse my jumping around here. I gotta fix this one too. Okay, I think that's it, right? So if we went and changed this to
10.
10, and we brought this one to 25, 217, 216. has to equal this, right? Sorry. Don't mess with me. That's not right. I just put it in the wrong spot, that's why, okay. We want this to be 125. Right? 125, 125. Okay. I don't know what the undo is here.
Control Z.
Control Z, does it?
Been on that seat, it's not fun to do Excel, yeah.
I used to do this for a living until I'm.
Still doesn't make
rusty.
it fun to do it in public.
No,
And just for the record, this is how they did it probably 5 years ago too. We definitely went back and forth all over the place.
yeah,
so
we did.
This isn't the first time. We just had it very easy last year.
So what is this here? What is it? Okay,
This isn't the most rousing meeting particularly.
I know. It's really boring watching me do all this.
It's transparency in government.
Yeah, doesn't get any more transparent than that. Okay. So how did I get a bigger number here? What number did I screw up?
I don't know.
2527?
Is there a formula hiding there?
No, I don't see it.
They're
Let's look to make sure I got it right.
starting to get blurry.
Okay, I can put this one back just to see. Just for shits and giggles, pardon my French.
Language.
I know.
We can reduce it further for a violation of the FCA.
Okay, I have something wrong here. This one needs to be 100,000. That's why. Okay, so now we can do it. Now that I have this number correct and this correct, that's fine. Okay, so we have the same, so if we bring this to 25, 216, 6, and we brought this to 10,000. Okay, now we're looking at, still looking at 10,000 to get back.
We can give back 10,000 more?
Yep.
I like that.
10,000, almost 11,000.
Are all of the operating budgets whole? Like,
No.
No,
because those are hard to get other places.
okay, we can do that. This would be this one here, right, 40?
Mhm.
And Habitats was-
Right, 25,000,
Yeah.
okay. That brings us down to,
Can we give
4,000.
that back to, stepping stones?
we've already given it,
Um,
we brought this down to 100,000.
Yeah.
Just that we brought anything that was 150 or over 100, we brought it down to 100,000.
Yeah.
What about things for occupancy? Like, there's the Sweeney Home, there's the Marguerite's Place, Family Farm.
Yeah, do any of those get close to fully funded if we put 4 grand back in?
Mm.
Yeah.
Which one?
Well, it's about 6,000, we reduced Sweeney by 6,000.
And so the request was 55.
Yeah,
That was also calculated by literally putting a unit into a housing thing, like an air conditioning thing. I don't know if you were there, they're trying to do
Yeah, I
air
remember that.
conditioning for summer.
okay, yeah, that would be nice.
Though they were putting in the like heating cooling units. So if you put the back up to 55,
Hold it, let me just quickly, so I don't have to do the math.
If we're gonna try to figure out the last chunk, at least we can say we know what it's going exactly to, and not some bottom lines.
So, oh God, what am I doing wrong here? Minus. Plus. Okay, so if we gave them 53,905, and that number's gonna change, by the way.
so it doesn't fully fund them.
No, we can get them up to make this number 0 here, we could get them up to 53,900, 5,092 cents.
So the fact that we don't get all the way makes me want to just split it between them and the senior center, which we cut.
Okay,
Is everyone else almost fully funded?
give them each 2,200.
I mean, I see the logic of it, but again, we might be able to get more city money because it's a city building.
You're talking about the senior center?
For the partition?
Yeah, I mean, if you think that, then maybe we fully fund the Sweeney house and then we see if we can find somewhere. Like, that's why I was asking about where the roof came from.
Yeah, I mean, that's my
To
opinion.
make up
I
that
think. 'Cause
deficit.
with the senior center, has a lot more visibility, it has a lot more support within the community in a lot of different ways. I think they could build faster than Sweeney could.
So you're saying you agree with me?
I
So-
think I'd rather just keep it with Sweeney.
At the
So make
53,000 or bring it up to 55,000?
Bring it back to 55 and then
Okay.
drop senior center down. And we can find,
So we're gonna bring them back up to 55. Okay, and then we, let's do this one here, equals, so I know what it
looks
is.
like we had to take 1,000 off of there.
Yeah.
Does that feel right?
The
I can't see
Sweeney
it.
home was what I was actually wondering if we would qualify for rental, but,
Oh, you were talking about the other way around?
huh?
Yes? Oh.
No, I was way earlier in the meeting. I was kind of wondering if that.
You asked that question to Director Long. Director Long said Marguerite's our front door might.
Yeah, he didn't bring it up.
Okay, so I could change,
Because I think it was, because it's gotta be like, it can't just be an improvement, is that, or it can?
He's, without putting words in Manager Long's voice, if you'd like to chime in, I think that the phrase was life safety or that type of thing, which I would make the argument that not having an air conditioner in the summer is for an elderly person, but.
Could be.
Manager Long, do you want to clarify?
Yes, this is Julian Long, Urban Programs Manager. So yeah, no, we do HVAC in the housing improvement and rental improvement programs. We actually do a lot of boilers.
Okay, so
Director
would,
Long, oh, go ahead.
go on. No,
I bet you're gonna ask the same question I was gonna
Yeah.
ask. Could you potentially help them use 25 from what's existing in the rental program? So we could reduce the amount here for the Sweeney house by 25,000?
I don't think we need to do it by 25,000.
Like five.
4,400, yeah, like about 5,000.
Or that?
This is Julian Long. I don't do intake for the program, so I don't want to say absolutely, but offhand, I think it should be eligible. And I'm not aware of any other applications for the rental improvement program.
And if I could follow on, there's no like, you don't have to ask in like certain increments, you can ask for whatever.
This is Julian Long. Certain increments, can you clarify, please?
I was just wondering if like like the facade program, the Director Sullivan was talking about is like, they're usually $5,000 increments. It's not, is it funded that way, or is it just kind of like this? You say you need 25,000 and there's 25,000, we'll discuss it.
This is Julian Long. We have a cap per unit, and I will get that to you in just 1 second. I need to look it up.
That was my question.
So you're looking to put the senior back at,
Yeah, I mean, if we have another program, and a program that's being under, for the record, if we have another program that could potentially be providing a resource for this, and we can still help the seniors as well, not only are we using our money a little smarter, because we have 25,000 still in the account, because rental programs haven't been applying for it, but it also makes the rental program one step closer to actually being used.
But to Alderman Clee's point, if we don't put any money in there and they use it, then there's no money for next year.
or we're only looking
True, but I was thinking about
6,500.
last year's, because we
Really?
still have last year's money.
Right, so.
Well,
if-
we zeroed it knowing that there
No.
was 25,000 in from last year.
Right.
Mhm.
So if we're saying we're gonna fund 25,000 from last year's money, then there will be no money for anybody this year, correct?
My understanding is we decided not to put 25,000 more into an account that has 25,000. So if we were able to get at least a general sense that the city would be able to use some of the 25,000 that's already there, they still have 20,000 that they just spent a year not spending in the first place.
Oh, it's not there, sorry.
It's definitely not a perfect solution, knowing my luck.
Nothing's a perfect solution when we're trying to figure out how to
Well-
give everybody the things they need.
May I?
Alderman Clee?
Okay, yes, if, right now, if we fund the senior center as they're requested, and we reduce the Sweeney House by what our deficit is, it's $6,488.18, hoping that they can get it out of the 25,000, that leaves that $18,511.82 in the rental.
What's the $6,000?
This right here
Yeah,
is,
how much we're over?
that must be how much we're, yes. Right?
Okay, so your suggestion is to take that 48 and make that the number for the
Make
Sweeney
this
House.
instead of the 55.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that gets us to 0.
right.
with the,
I'm just doing this so that it doesn't screw up my formula.
dream and hope that Director Long could help them.
48511.8.
This is Julian
That
Long.
zeroes it out, yeah.
Manager Long?
Thank you. This is Julian Long. Unfortunately, so the way we have the rental improvement program set up is we currently don't accept properties that are over 8 units. So the Mary Sweeney home would not be eligible based on that criterion, unfortunately.
Okay. that was worth a try.
Director Long, earlier you said that Marguerite's, our front door, would be eligible. Do you still stand by that, knowing the restriction you just brought forward?
This is Julian Long. I would need to ask them more about their properties. I think Marguerite's place is under the 8 units. I don't remember offhand whether front door agency is. I apologize.
So my thought would be, if Sweeney House doesn't qualify, could we take it from Marguerite's if we think Marguerite's will? I'm looking up right now.
Manager Long, would the hot water heater and bathroom repairs qualify for transition housing? Is this a seasonal life safety issue? Because I mean, the winter's cold.
This is Julian Long. Which project are we looking at now?
Marguerite's place.
Space.
Hot water and bathroom repairs.
This is Julian Long. Yes, I believe those would fall under the work that the rental improvements program would do. This is Julian Long. I should also add that the amount we've requested for the housing improvements program is an increase over what we received last year, if that's something you'd like to look at for reducing funding amounts.
Director Long, how much did we put in last year? Do you remember?
It was Julian Long. It was either 50,000 or 55,000. Housing improvements and rental improvements were funded for a total of 105. I don't remember which received which.
And you used all of it, correct?
This is Julian Long. We've gone through all of the housing improvements program funds, so I would like to not fund it for under 75,000, since I think it's probably safe we can expend that for next year.
Yeah. Okay.
Alderman Clee?
Thank you. So I guess my question to everybody here, are we looking to bring the Sweeney House back up to the 55,000, or would we be leaving it at the 90% funded, like we did to all the other projects?
Can
What-
we just, so I think sorry,
No, I was finished, thank you.
I'm the
What
chair, actually.
Director Long
Alderman
just
Clee?
brought forward
No,
about
Kelly.
like, we only put 75 in
Mhm.
last year, like if we were to, I don't wanna do this, but let's just play that for a second. If we
Okay,
put 75 there instead of 100,
And then if we bring this one back up to the 55,000,
Yeah.
the Sweeney, I'm sorry. The Sweeney,
and also Marguerite's is not at full.
none of them are, this column right here is the 90%, which is what I'm playing with over here.
But we started to put most people back, so we have stepping stones back other than the 100,000 ones, which we just
So
did.
we want to bring this one back to the 30?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Those
I'm
were
just,
just the
I'm
12
just trying to see who didn't get back to full. It's almost, everyone's almost back to fully
Okay,
allocated
well, I
this
can
way.
do that.
That's good,
This one's
So
back,
you-
this one's back, this one's back.
yeah.
Not,
So it's just,
this one here,
front
front door.
door didn't get it,
You want to do 28?
okay.
Okay. So all of them are, other than the 100,000 ones,
Mm-hmm.
all of them are back up too.
And that means we have 12,000 over.
Yep.
Well, we don't have to take it all out of the program that.
I was just exploring this discussion, if we
Yeah,
wanted to try to fully
my
fund.
impression is you just solved a lot of problems.
I know I did. I'm pretty good at
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So now we just gotta find 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. There are 12 projects here, we could just take 1,000 off of each one, and we're done, but then no one's getting full.
Well, if I reduce all of them by, except for the 100,000s, by 95% instead of 90%.
Does that fix it?
Nah.
No, because the
quite.
distribution's kind of spread out.
Yeah, it brings us to, let's see here. Did I do this right? Yeah. So then we only have $1,000 that we have to define.
But that's before we cut the 25 from home improvement.
Right, so if we do this back to 75,
Right.
why did that go?
I was like, that didn't work.
75,000, right? Yeah.
Right.
So why did that do that?
Someone's up with their formula.
18 to 19 minus that number, okay, good. Why is this not looking right to me?
Some
I
help from the
recognize
audience.
Okay.
Kathy from
I'm
Stepping
sorry,
Stones.
I've
That's
been
okay.
accounting
No,
for like
please.
25 years.
So you
I
know-
can't help myself.
It's fine, you're being helpful.
So column E is actually, we're still
Yeah.
under budget by 12,000. You don't need to cut anything, you have to
Right.
put back $12,000
Right,
into the budget. So you don't need to do column D at all, it looks like.
yeah, well, column D is just putting everything back to where it was, minus
Right, so if you look at
100,000.
So we could
Column
add
E,
12
Yeah.
back to
Yeah.
home
Kind of
improvement.
like
Leave it
doing that.
$12,000.
And then we
Yeah,
would get
add that to
12,000.
home
12,000
improvement.
back into here? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Shift plus
thank you.
12711.
I think we're also just like,
Yeah, I've been coming here for too many meetings here.
I feel like I have good eyesight and that is really hard to look at. I
Okay, there we go.
cannot read it.
I feel your pain.
Oh, but 2 cents, what do we do? Okay.
Okay,
So
now
in
what they're
that
telling me that
scenario,
I have,
everybody is fully funded.
yeah,
We took a cut to the rental and home improvement. Yeah?
yeah, that's where the cut came.
Well, not everyone's fully funded because we took those,
Yeah,
We cut
the
everyone
bigger
100,000.
projects had the,
Yeah, these bigger, one lost 25,000 and one lost 50,000. We could bring this back down to 7,000, throw it up at Stepping Stones 2,
give them
saying that the
125.
one we took the biggest amount from.
It is. Because the other ones, what, were all $25,000 cuts?
Yeah, so if we did this one here and did make it one, let's see if I can get this right now. That's 12,000, right? That's 100. 12711.80. Oh, damn 2 cents.
What do we keep
everyone
getting?
tells me to withhold my 2 cents is what you get.
Okay.
That's because, it's only because I don't have it formatted right with so there's the 2 cents. So if we gave them 112, it zeroes us out.
Okay.
Does that work?
I think it's good. I wish I knew more, a little bit about the other large programs, like could the church make up the deficit with other funding? 'Cause we did just sort of,
The first church one here?
Yeah.
I was just looking, that's the one that they, for the 2 units on Orange Street? Is
Yeah,
that correct?
if I could add, Alderman Kelly, that was the presentation at the meeting where he was trying to add more for Family Promise.
yeah, no, I remember what it was for. I'm just, like my general conversation when we make these changes is what would you do if you couldn't get fully funded? And we sometimes hear, oh, we would, just do a fundraiser or, so I just, I hate to
concur.
cut without being able to ask that question.
I think in past years, we've also had more of distance between when we did the allocations and when we didn't. We could have met last week, or last month, I guess, but it would have been all hypotheticals, and now we had the real number.
Okay. and I
So
did
we-
this wrong.
I think it would probably be a good idea, Manager Long, if you reached out to the nonprofits that were involved and let them know that we're doing this, so that if there is any oh man, no, this would ruin everything, then we can hear back from them before it's time for voting at the Alderman.
This column F here is where the cuts are.
Yeah, I see that.
So the only programs that are being cut are First Church and the Stepping Stones, the large project. And obviously the home improvement and the rental.
This is Julian Long. Yes, I've been keeping all the grant applicants informed as this process plays out, and I was planning to provide them updates after tonight's meeting.
Okay, appreciate hearing that.
What do you guys
If
think?
there's enough of a consensus, Alderman Kelly,
So we usually do line by line.
for reading?
Yeah, we usually say
Yes, I agree.
line by line before we get out of here. I was just gonna, I mean, I think we've heard from most people. I would love if there was anyone in the audience who was like, oh, this is really gonna be a hardship for us, to just let us know now before. We don't usually have you all here when we're doing this.
If
But
anybody wants to make some public comment
I think it's
with
as
regards
fair
to
as
what
we
we're looking
can
at?
be.
Just so I can read it properly, I'm just gonna hide those columns. Makes it easier for me.
Yep. So as a process, we should read these line by line and then probably also send the spreadsheet to Manager Long and probably Donna, and make sure that they have both of those. We will also have to accept this as a written communication, just for posterity's sake.
So do you want me to read them and say whether or not there was a cut to the request, or just read them as?
Read the amount
Read the amount
As we
recommended.
decided,
Yep.
okay. So based on our new calculations, the recommendation is $40,000 to the, oh, let me bring that up here now. Two different things here, I apologize. To the Stepping Stones Public Services operating expenses for drop-in center for homeless youth. $112,711.82 to the Stepping Stones construction renovation of 15 leased housing units to provide temporary housing for homeless youth.
Alderman Lopez,
Yeah.
can we just take a call with each one? We usually vote on each line item. At least that's how I did it.
Oh, you want to vote on each one?
I think we did
Okay,
in the
so-
past. Just, I just want to
Okay,
make sure
you
we
mean
did it.
a yay or nay?
So let's back it up to
Sorry.
the $40,000 for the Stepping Stones Public Services operating expenses for drop-in center for homeless youth.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next.
$112,711.82 for the Stepping Stones construction renovation of 15 leased housing units to provide temporary housing for homeless youth.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
$25,000 for Greater Nashua Habitat for Humanity, operational support for building repairs for low, moderate income homeowners and nonprofit agencies.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. $25,217.06 for the Nashua PAL magnetic fire door holder, sprinkler cages, fire escape, rust protection, and front door security system upgrades for the youth center.
All those in favor say aye.
$30,000 for Marguerite's Place hot water heater and bathroom repairs for transitional housing program for the homeless families.
All those in favor say aye.
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 The $28,000 for the front door agency boiler replacement for transitional housing for single and expectant mothers.
All those in favor say aye.
$100,000 for First Church of Nashua / Family Promise of Southern New Hampshire renovations of a single-family house, 32 Orange Street, into 2 to 3 units of permanent supportive housing.
All those in favor say aye.
$10,000 to the Mary A. Sweeney Home, that can't be right, no, sorry. $55,000 to the Mary A. Sweeney Home HVAC upgrades / replacements for senior living facility serving elderly women.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. This one is the 10,000. 10,000 for the Nashua Children's Home fire panel update replacement for residential facility for foster children.
All those in favor say aye.
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 $53,941 for the Nashua Senior Activity Center installation of a movable partition in the senior center to accommodate additional activity for elderly residents.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I'm listening to both of you in case someone doesn't answer.
Okay. Let's see, now we're down to the home improvements,
You missed $0 to the facade.
I'm sorry, what?
You missed the last line.
Which was,
We declined to put any end to the facade.
Alderman Kelly would like us to vote on.
on voting declining, okay.
Yeah.
No monies, for the Nashua Community Development Division and Nashua Economic Development Division, which matching grants for facade improvements in downtown core area.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. The $75,000 for the home improvement programs, housing rehabilitation for homes owned by low to moderate income residents.
All those in favor say aye.
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 No monies will be put into the rental improvements program, housing rehabilitation for rental housing occupied by low to moderate income residents.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, Alderman Kelly?
I said aye.
Okay, sorry, didn't.
It's
I'm
okay.
waiting for that one nay.
I mean,
That's usually
there's
you.
a lot of these I want to say no to, but we did the best we could.
$125,000 for project delivery, construction management related to physical CDBG projects and housing improvement program.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. And that is a total of $679,869.88.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion, just to clarify, to adopt the plan as proposed here, and recommend final passage. All those in
And-
favor say aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I missed out discussion.
Nope.
I
that's
also say
okay.
aye. Okay. All right,
So
so
that's it.
I don't know if we need to vote to approve a communication that we just wrote in a meeting, so I think we can just make sure this is just part of the minutes. as your
Okay,
notes.
the spreadsheet here?
Yeah, but I would like to vote to approve this, accept this and place it on file.
Okay.
The Greater
Oh, the
Nashua
one
Habitat for
from-
Humanity handout.
Yeah. Did you get, I actually saw that you only grabbed 3. Did you grab one for the record?
I was just gonna give it to the record.
Okay. Did you want your own?
Yeah. I have one here.
But do you want to leave one for the record? Did you want your own?
Yes, I do want my own, yes.
So I was getting you one for the record.
Okay.
I got extras too.
I thought Alderman Lopez said his would be for the record, but that's okay. You keep yours.
All right, if there's no further discussion. All those in favor of accepting and placing on communication Greater Nashua Habitat for Humanity handout, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. New business ordinances?
Want me to follow this again?
There's none.
None.
General discussion. Anyone have some general discussion they want to talk about? Talk about generals?
I haven't met a general in a while.
Okay. Public comment? Any members of the public wishing to speak? Feel free to come up and make public comment. Okay, seeing none. Remarks by the alderman?
My hand's up.
Fine. I just thought she was gonna.
I'm
Alderman-
trying to.
Alderman
ignore
Kelly.
me. Whatever, maybe I don't.
I wanted to defer to her first.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming this evening and for all the projects that were brought forward. We have such an incredible community doing such great work, and this is one of the hardest nights for me of the year as an alderman because you want to fund all of them, and they're all really strong organizations. So I was grateful for all the information we got and for this committee's work, trying to do the best we can with what we got.
Alderman Cleese?
Yes, thank you. Just for the record, I will type this up and make sure that Donna has it by morning. So I think it's going to be a little difficult to try to save this as it's just a general login.
Watch it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remarking for myself, I agree with some of the comments that were made in the presentation earlier and with what Alderman Kelly said. It's very difficult to make decisions about what does and doesn't deserve money because we don't get enough from HUD to give it to everyone who deserves it, which I think is unfair. But in terms of triage and identifying priorities, there will be people sleeping on shelter tonight, and many of them may be kids, many of them may be elderly. So the stakes are real. I would guess tonight probably there's at least a dozen, if not more, people that have no place to stay. I, as alderman, receive frequent reports that there are people living in cars and, in places that they're not meant to be and isn't necessarily safe for them to be. So we try to work with all of the community nonprofits throughout the year, and they save us money as a city. We don't have to have city welfare doing all the things that Stepping Stones would be doing, that Nashua Soup Kitchen would be doing, the Habitat for Humanity would be doing, because of these organizations. So it's important for us to show as much support for them as we can. So we have difficult decisions to make here at the Human Affairs Committee. This has to be where it starts, not where it stops. So where there are other opportunities for the city to partner with these nonprofits, I think it's very important that we recognize the important role that they play. So I thank the whole committee, especially Alderman Kelly for her insights and astute observations. Alderman Clee for trying to live create a spreadsheet document, and Manager Long for helping organize all the nonprofits to bring their needs forward. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, all those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned.
Why do you never want to adjourn?